this snuck up on me, and I want to look at it like right now. I don't want to wait. So basically, Final Fantasy XIV just released a bunch of stuff. Apparently, there's the fan festival in Tokyo going on right now. I had no idea this was happening. I have not been keeping up with stuff, but they announced the new job, clearly, right here. Let's just start with the new job, right? Pictomancer. It's not Green Mage, which is what I was hoping for, but I mean, I'm interested in what this is, because I've seen jobs like this before. They've had something similar in Lost Ark, but I quit that game before it ever got to the English version. Huh. Okay. So here's the thing. I'm not really sure about it. These effects, they don't really look like any of the other effects that the other classes have. It feels like they stand out a lot more. Doesn't quite fit with the aesthetic that the other jobs have, and I don't know if that's a good thing. It seems very like bright colored, very neon. I like the concept though. I don't know, in concept, I feel like it works, but it doesn't work quite as well as calligrapher or something like that, you know? Like calligraphy. I think that's was what it was in Lost Ark. Hang on. That game had its own problems, but I just want to look at something here. Okay, so it was called Artist, apparently. Personally, I was never going to play this class because you have to play as, like, this character, and I think this character looks stupid. But look, like, it has darker colors, ink-based, obviously, not paint-based, I guess would be what the Pictomancer would be. But this is kind of what I imagine when I think of like a painting or like an ink-based class, and I feel like the aesthetic was done really well in Lost Ark. So yeah, that's just kind of like what I thought I kind of had in mind. I'm okay that this is not that, but I don't know. I'd like to see more of the effects. I wonder if they're going to tune that more. The art style, it doesn't immediately click with me. It could be something that has to grow on me. I don't know, it's kind of, like I said, it's very, very neon, very bright colored, and it's different at least. It is something. I'll wait until they come out with like a full job reveal before I touch more on that. Other than that, we have new areas. Take a look at some of these. Okay, we've seen this before. This was in the last one when they showed off Reaper. We had this. This is all the same. Well, hang on, this is new. Gravestones, Western style town. Interesting. Very. Okay. I could get behind that. It's got that Gold Rush town style, you know, all the old westerns that you'd see on TV. Or maybe if you, I don't know what TV is like in other countries, but in America, there was like always a lot of free channels with like westerns and stuff. Interesting. It's very, I guess this would be like USA inspired then, at least in that regard. Okay. You got like fields and houses of different types. I think this is very cool. I don't know how that would form naturally, but I think it looks cool. Reminds me a bit of Costa del Sol there, and then this is... That looks interesting. It kind of reminds me of that one area you go to in Shadowbringers on the first. Looks good. Didn't think I'd see a Western town there. That's a surprise, but a welcome one. New town. This one looks really interesting. It's very different. Okay. This I like a lot. I like this cyberpunk aesthetic. I wonder how does this fit in though? They've got like advertising billboards. Oh my god. Okay. Okay. All right. Okay, this is so weird. It's like, you know how, all right, a bit of a spoiler for the story if you haven't gotten there yet. For Endwalker. Basically, during Endwalker, you go to Garlemald and they're just people with cars driving around, except not anymore, right? But they had cars in like the Industrial Revolution, they had an oil rig. You find out that Eorzea is living in the era of like coaches, horse-drawn carriages, swords and shields, right? And then you go over to Garlemald and they got cars, they got guns, they got oil rigs and all that stuff, and it's like, what the hell? We've been like sleeping on this. Like, what happened here? They're so much more advanced. And then now it's like this, which is like cyberpunk dystopian sort of city. Like, maybe even I don't even know. Maybe it's not a dystopia. Who knows? That is very interesting. I wonder how does this fit in too? Because with those new areas, it clashes even with the new areas that we just looked at in that other one. Because it's like you got the Old West, and then here you have like, it's such a range in this game. It's crazy. It's like you go to one place and they're living this way, you go to this other place and they're living that way, and it's like so vastly different, which is kind of like a bit of a reflection of the real world, but also kind of not, right? Because this goes even further than where we're at. I mean, hey, this is pretty cool. I don't know how they're gonna fit this in though. I guess this would be in Tyrol. That's the name of the continent, right? Somewhere in Tyrol. Man, I don't know. I wonder. That is going to be really interesting to find out. All right, so yeah, I don't know what the hell is happening with like Pictomancer. I don't know how to feel about that. I'm gonna give it some thought. Probably gonna wait until the next sort of reveal showcase comes out for that before I give my judgment on that. I think the colors, the neon, is a bit much. Maybe a different sort of shading would be better. I did like the calligraphy aesthetic from Lost Ark a bit better. I think I liked the more consistent theme of it. It's not bad. I'm sure it'll have some interesting stuff to it, but I don't know. Yeah. Yeah. We're gonna look at this before we move on.
And they have a special weapon that is their brush.
Yeah, makes sense. Okay.
Starting level will be 80.
Starting level 80. Yeah, that makes sense. I do wonder sometimes if they'll ever add more to like the starter classes. The selection of starter classes is a bit, well, they're standard, I guess. They're very standard, very what you would expect, right? There's just guy who wields a sword. There's the guy who uses magic. There's like a guy who just punches people. Like they're very basic things. They're not too fancy, I guess you'd say. I was wondering if they'd ever like actually come out and say like, oh, hey, yeah, we're gonna actually release a class that starts at 0 and then you can play it as soon as you start the game. But I guess, I mean, I wasn't expecting that this time, but I'm curious if they will ever start doing that.
Now let's talk about what they're like in combat.
Yeah, let's talk about the concept. This is a magical range DPS, which is fairly different from the physical range DPS. Yeah, I will say the images themselves looked fine. It was like the weird splashes of color that looked like it came right out of Splatoon that really threw me off. That's what was messing with me there.
Does not simply attack, they also have magic that can buff their party.
So it is going to be a supporter DPS. Something like Bard then.
We wouldn't say it's a full support job if that's what you're thinking, but it is
okay.
not quite so attack focused as something like Black Mage.
Okay, so they compared it to Black Mage though. I'm comparing it to Bard. Bard is a more support focused class, but it still attacks, right? So like how does it compare to Bard is like the real question.
Pictomancers cannot res you.
Yeah. In terms of classes, I thought I'd throw this in as well. Apparently they're gonna add a class called Beastmaster. How do I feel about that? Eh. I mean, I like the idea, right? You can see there's a person here who said, "Oh, I was hoping for Puppet Master, but I'm still happy with this." Personally, I had also heard about Puppet Master, and I was thinking, "Oh, hey, maybe that would be a new job that could come up at some point." Like, imagine using your minions that you've collected as a part of your job. Like, that would be pretty cool. I mean, this is kind of similar to that, but I mean, it's a limited job. We already know how painful it is to have a limited job with Blue Mage. I love Blue Mage. I can't do anything with Blue Mage. It's gonna be the same thing, but hey, at least it'll probably be fun, right? It'll be fun to play it. Won't be able to play it in the actual normal game or through the storyline or stuff like that. So yeah, I mean, it'll be fun. I'll play it, but I mean, yeah, I'm not super stoked about it or anything. That's the best I can do. That's the rating I give it, I guess, if you can call it a rating. Anyways, probably the final thing of note is female Hrothgar have finally been revealed. Uh, I think they look okay. Like that's about what I would have expected. So yeah, I mean, it took a while, but I guess they're here now. I know a lot of people were looking forward to that. I guess that's really all I had to say about it. All right, well, that's pretty much everything I had to talk about. So I guess I'll see you guys in the next video. Cheers.